family tried to take over our vacation home. When I said no, they turned the whole family against us. I've been married to my husband Martin, 35M, for 7 years now. We met in college during a hackathon event where we were paired up to work on a project. Despite our initial clash of ideas, we ended up creating an impressive app that won us first place. That victory sparked not just a successful partnership, but also a romance that blossomed into marriage a few years later. Both Martin and I work in the tech industry. I started as a UX designer and gradually transitioned into interior design, combining my love for technology and aesthetics. Martin, on the other hand, climbed the ranks in software development and is now a project manager at a well-known tech firm. Our careers have been challenging but rewarding, allowing us to build a comfortable life together. Last year, we finally achieved a long-time goal of mine, buying a beautiful vacation home in the mountains. It's a cozy 3-bedroom cabin with stunning views of pine-covered slopes and a crystal-clear lake. I fell in love with it instantly, reminiscing about the summers I spent at my grandparents' lakeside cottage as a child. Those memories of peaceful mornings and starry nights were what inspired me to look for our own retreat. The cabin needed some work when we bought it. The previous owners had left it in a state of mild disrepair, peeling wallpaper, outdated fixtures, and a kitchen straight out of the 1970s. But where others saw problems, I saw potential. As an interior designer, this project has been my passion for the past few months. I've poured my heart and soul, not to mention a significant chunk of our savings, into making it perfect. I've spent countless weekends at the cabin, carefully selecting every paint color, light fixture, and piece of furniture. I've mixed modern elements with rustic charm, creating a space that feels both luxurious and cozy. The renovation has been exhausting but exhilarating. Every time I step back and look at my progress, I feel a sense of pride and accomplishment. Martin has been supportive of my project, even though he hasn't been able to be there as much due to his work commitments. He trusts my vision and has given me free rein to make the cabin our perfect getaway. We've talked excitedly about future vacations, imagining winters spent by the fireplace and summers kayaking on the lake. Here's where the problem starts. My in-laws, Bob, 68M, and Linda, 65F, recently visited us for our anniversary dinner. During the visit, they noticed the photos of the cabin renovation I had been sharing on social media. They were immediately captivated by the beautiful scenery and the cozy interior I had created. At first, their interest seemed harmless. They asked questions about the area, the size of the property, and my design choices. I was happy to share, proud of what I had accomplished. But then, as we were having dessert, they dropped a bombshell. They want to move into the cabin. Permanently. I was shocked into silence. This cabin was supposed to be our getaway, a place for Martin and me to relax and disconnect from our busy lives. It was never intended to be a permanent residence, let alone for my in-laws. Martin, however, didn't seem as surprised or concerned. He actually seemed open to the idea, arguing that since the cabin has 3 bedrooms, there's plenty of space for all of us. What Martin doesn't understand is that I bought this cabin as both an investment and a personal retreat. I had plans to rent it out when we're not using it, which would help offset the cost of the mortgage and renovations. This would be impossible with his parents living there full-time. Moreover, the idea of sharing our vacation home with anyone, even family, feels like an invasion of the private space I've worked so hard to create. To complicate matters further, Martin's younger brother, Tom, 30M, who was also at the dinner, chimed in saying he'd love to join his parents in the mountains. Tom has a history of financial troubles and job hopping that dates back to his college days. He dropped out of college twice before finally getting a degree in communications, but he struggled to find stable employment since. Tom has always been the family's problem child. While Martin was focused and driven, Tom was more interested in partying, living in the moment. This led to a series of poor financial decisions, including maxing out credit cards and taking out loans he couldn't repay. He's currently unemployed and living in Bob and Linda's basement, a situation that has been a source of tension in the family for months. The day after the dinner, I tried explaining my concerns to Martin. I reminded him of our original plans for the cabin and how much work I'd put into making it perfect for us. But Martin accused me of being selfish. He argued that the cabin is big enough for everyone and that we should be willing to help his family. Martin then reminded me that his parents helped us with a down payment on our first house 5 years ago. It was a generous gift that allowed us to buy a home in a good neighborhood much sooner than we had planned. While I'm grateful for their help, I don't think it entitles them to our vacation property. That gift was for our primary residence, not a blank check for all our future properties. The situation has created a rift between Martin and me. We've been arguing more frequently, with Martin insisting that I'm being unreasonable and ungrateful. I feel like I'm being painted as the bad guy for not wanting to give up our dream cabin. The stress is starting to affect other areas of our life, including our work performance and social relationships. To make matters worse, Bob and Linda have started telling extended family members about their upcoming move to the mountains. At a recent family barbecue, Martin's aunt congratulated me on doing such a wonderful thing for Bob and Linda. I was blindsided and didn't know how to respond without causing a scene. I feel cornered and don't know how to handle this without causing a family feud. On one hand, I understand Martin's desire to help his parents. Bob and Linda have always been kind to me, and I do care about them. They're getting older, and the idea of a peaceful mountain retirement probably seems idyllic to them. On the other hand, this cabin represents years of hard work and saving for Martin and me. It's not just a property, it's a dream we've built together. The thought of giving it up or significantly altering our plans for it is heartbreaking. I'm also concerned about the precedent this would set. If we give in to this demand, what's next? Will we be expected to support Tom indefinitely? Will every major decision in our lives be subject to family approval? I love my in-laws, but I also value my independence and the plans I had for this property. I've always believed that maintaining some separation between our nuclear family and our extended family is healthy. This situation feels like it's blurring those lines in a way that makes me uncomfortable. I'm torn between standing my ground and keeping the peace. I don't want to be the cause of family strife, but I also don't want to sacrifice my dreams and financial security. The stress of this situation is taking a toll on me. I've been having trouble sleeping, and I find myself dreading family gatherings. Martin and I have always been a team, facing life's challenges together. This is the first time I felt like we're on opposite sides, and it's a terrible feeling. I want to find a solution that respects everyone's needs and feelings, but I'm at a loss for how to do that. Am I wrong for wanting to keep our vacation home to ourselves? How do I navigate this delicate situation without alienating my husband and his family? Is there a compromise that I'm not seeing? Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Update 1. It's been a month since my original post, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone for their advice and support. Your comments really helped me gain perspective on the situation and gave me the courage to address it head-on. After much consideration, I decided to have an honest conversation with Martin about my feelings regarding the cabin. I chose a weekend when we were both free from work commitments and suggested we go for a long walk in the park near our house. Being in a neutral, relaxing environment helped set the tone for our discussion. During our walk, I opened up to Martin about how much this project meant to me. I shared my childhood memories of vacations at my grandparents' cottage and how those experiences shaped my dream of having our own retreat. I explained how I envisioned our future with this property, weekend getaways, holiday celebrations, and maybe even a place for our future children to create their own summer memories. I also expressed my concerns about his parents and Tom moving in permanently. I pointed out that having them there full-time would change the dynamic of our vacations and limit our ability to rent out the property. I reminded Martin of our financial goals and how the rental income was part of our long-term plan. To my surprise, Martin was more understanding than I expected. He admitted that he got caught up in the idea of helping his family without fully considering the implications for our relationship and our plans. He shared that he'd been feeling guilty about his success compared to Tom's struggles, and saw the cabin as a way to even things out in the family. We talked for hours, delving into our feelings about family obligations, financial responsibilities, and our vision for our future together. By the end of our conversation, we agreed to present a united front to his family. Martin acknowledged that he should have discussed the idea with me before entertaining it with his family, and he apologized for putting me in such an awkward position. With our own relationship on steadier ground, we invited Bob, Linda, and Tom over for dinner to discuss the situation. I spent the day preparing a nice meal, hoping that a comfortable atmosphere would help ease the tension of the conversation to come. After dinner, as we sat around the living room with coffee, I started the discussion. I began by expressing how much we value our relationship with them and how grateful we are for their support over the years.